This is your brother Gabar coming to you live. This is IAMFITPodcast. Shalom and peace and blessings. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me, so thank you. You know, it's hard being a father these days. I believe fathers are behind enemy lines. I believe a father is got to act and move smart, wise, strategic in a way that he can survive, because just disciplining your kids you can end up in jail. You know, the government, your face, or the city, these child agencies, which are run by a bunch of pedophiles, that's a different conversation. Or there's pedophiles within the child protected agencies. That's something I'm probably gonna do a show on that on Rumble. I think it'll probably be too controversial here in the YouTube world. But let's play some videos. I want to play some videos. I want to play some videos that I believe deserves some attention. As you guys know, Amare Stoudemire got arrested I believe in Florida for some domestic situation. I think he was disciplining one of his daughter. I think it was his ex-wife's daughter. Hold on 2 seconds. Let me make sure. Okay, there we go. And now he's locked up, or he got bailed out. You know, probably the same night. I think it was like $1,500. That's like really no. Let me put it over here. Okay. So he should be fine financially. I don't think it's going to hurt him. But, you know, it's clearly an embarrassment for him and his family, obviously. However, but I want to have a conversation about can a man establish orders in his household? So I want to play this video first, and I want to hear your guys' reaction, because maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe I'm the old fart that cannot get up to the, modern society. You know, things are changing. Maybe I'm last of the Mohegans. Maybe I am the last of my dying breed that think the way I think. And maybe I have to just conform to society that things are changing and things are no longer the way they used to be. Maybe that's the case. Maybe we need to advance. And the way I'm thinking is probably wrong. I don't know. But I got triggered, about when I saw this, because it's like, it's really unnecessary. It's really unnecessary. But I want to first, have a conversation about this, and I want to, set the stage. So, fair use. I'll play some videos, and I want to have a conversation about it. Oh, my apologies. Fair use.
Star Amare Stoudemire was arrested on Sunday morning in Miami for domestic violence after he allegedly struck his teenage daughter. Stoudemire was at his Miami condo when he was arrested Saturday night. The six-time All-Star was booked early Sunday morning on one count of misdemeanor battery and one count of domestic violence. According to the arrest report, Stoudemire allegedly struck one of his two teenage daughters across the face at least twice, once with a closed fist and another being a slap. The report also states bloodstains were observed on the victim's sweater and sweatpants. Stoudemire and his ex-wife Alexis share 4 children, and it's currently not clear which teenage daughter was involved in the alleged incident. According to the Miami Herald, Alexis reportedly went to Stoudemire's home after their daughter made a, quote, plea for help, and the former Nick told his ex their daughter was being disrespectful. The report said Stoudemire thought his daughter was giving attitude to her grandmother, and he allegedly continued slapping her after punching her. He then told the cops, per the Herald, that his daughter received a whooping from him for being disrespectful and a liar. The alleged incident occurred after the former forward graduated from the University of Miami with a master's degree. Stoudemire signed with the Knicks back in 2010 after 8 seasons with the Suns, and he played 4+ seasons in New York.
So there it is. Let's play another video. Fair use, and because this video, I think he makes a statement. Fair use.
Amare Stoudemire is speaking out after he was arrested following an alleged incident of domestic violence. Miami-Dade County Jail online records show that the former NBA pro was booked on Sunday on a misdemeanor battery charge and had submitted $1,500 bond. According to an arrest affidavit obtained by NBC News, Stoudemire was arrested for allegedly punching and slapping one of his daughters, who was unidentified. NBC News reports that, per the document, the ex-athlete allegedly ran into his daughter's room and accused her of, quote, giving attitude to her grandmother. The daughter allegedly denied having an attitude, after which Stoudemire allegedly said, quote, you're talking back again, then allegedly punched her in the jaw and slapped her face and body, leaving a bloody nose. According to the affidavit, police on the scene allegedly, quote, observed bloodstains on the daughter's clothes, and her mother allegedly showed officers a photo of her daughter allegedly crying with blood on her face.
So it was the mother of the child who is the ex-wife of Amare Stoudemire. Okay? So we have to have a conversation about that. Because when you're raising kids that you're not with the mother, your authority is cut in, never mind half. You lose 90% of your authority in your children's life when you either divorce your wife, or you leave your ex-girlfriend, or you guys break up, or it doesn't work out. You lose 90% of your authority in your children's life. Fair use.
Stoudemire allegedly said that his daughter, quote, had received a whooping from him for being disrespectful and a liar, but did not elaborate further, allegedly then pleading the fifth. On Sunday afternoon, Stoudemire released a statement on social media regarding the incident. It reads, over the last 24 hours, an incident at my family home led to my being charged with assaulting my daughter. It is an allegation based on a report that does not square with the facts. I am of the Jewish faith. Today, Jewish people all over the world celebrate Hanukkah and hear the story of how we fought wickedness. I believe that whatever is hateful to you, do not do to others. As the investigation unfolds, the facts will show the allegations to be groundless, as my daughter's medical condition is not the result of being assaulted by a father who is nearly 7 feet tall and weighs 250 pounds. I could never see myself assaulting any person, especially my children. I respect, protect, and love my family, particularly my children. As a father, I ask for your grace as we secure our space and privacy. Stoudemire has an arraignment hearing scheduled for January 17th, per online jail records.
And so let me also say this, Brother Stoudemire, I met the brother. He's a good brother. Back in 2000, let me just move this out the way. I'm sorry, guys. 2013. He actually, at that time, that's when he was kind of searching. He was finding himself spiritually, and he was looking for a church to fellowship. He was actually in New York, and he reached out to us, and we was able to keep. I believe that was the first year. Let me see if I have a photo. Yeah, here it is. This is him back in 2014. With we took a picture with him. I don't know. I forgot the brother's name next to me. He was with the church. I don't know. I don't think he's with the church anymore. But I'm no longer with the church. But Amare Stoudemire, he kept our the Passover with us in 2013. This is another picture. My brother did some editing for us in the Passover. Shout out to him. Amare, he stood up, said some few words. And the brother at that time, he was searching. He was searching his spirituality. Good brother. And what I gather from his journey at that time is that I don't know if the wife that he was with then, I believe it's the same wife now. I'm not sure because I think the kids are pretty older. He probably got to I don't remember that was his ex-wife that I met then or his former wife now. But I know he remarried. And, you know, when you're in a situation that you are a man, a basketball player or an athlete or anyone in those positions, it's extremely hard for you to be in a situation that you are, you know, it's like, and I see this a lot when I was, you know, in the church, when there were brothers in the church that, and sisters, but brothers went through this a lot, that they was waking up into the truth. And then they, with their wife and children, you know, they may have some teenagers, they may have some adolescents, and the father begins to come to the church and try to teach his family. And sometimes you may have a scenario that the father is not the biological son, only father of the firstborn son, because it was from a previous relationship, or it was like a mixed marriage. He had some kids, she had some kids, and they kind of had some kids together as well. That happens a lot. All their children is by both. I noticed that it is difficult. It all depends how non-religious your family were prior. And it's hard if you celebrated Christmas or you was cursing the house and that made it okay, and you allow your daughter to dress a certain kind of way and your son doing certain things, but then, you know, you allowed it because culturally you was not in that spiritual walk, and then you become a Christian or become a Hebrew Israelite, or you wake up to who you are, and then now you're trying to discipline your kid who is already a teenager. It's extremely hard. It's extremely hard and difficult. And I'm going to show another video because when I grew up, getting whooping, it was like part of my culture. You know, my father was Dominican pastor. My mother was a Dominican woman, devout Christian woman. When when my father was alive, there was no choice to go to church. You went to church. He was a pastor, so I was a pastor's son. So we had to go, me and my brothers. And whooping became a thing, and disciplined, and we have to make sure that we are in line when dad comes home. And there were different punishments. You know, eventually my father, I remember telling this to my brother Tony. He said, you know, I'm going to have to start punishing you guys because I'm going to one day hurt you. And it is a fine line between violence or abuse and discipline. I don't believe that what Amare Stoudemire is considered to be violence or domestic violence. I believe he was disciplining his kid, and kids today are so attached from discipline and getting hit, getting spanked, getting punishment. It's not in their wavelength to, you know, it's abnormal. And I think that's what happened. And these kids, my understanding is, from when I read, she called her or his mother, her grandmother, I believe, or somebody in the family, a B word. Let my daughter call anybody in my family a B word. I get triggered with things like this because it's like I'm a type of guy that any person that I ever took serious in my life, and my wife knows this about me, that if I can't be in charge of my house, I don't need to be here. the way I kind of look at it, and this is how I view it. Marriage for a man in 2022, or for a long time, especially in America, it is a sacrifice. I'm sacrificing myself to this family. I'm willing to die for my family. I'm willing to die for my kids. I'm willing to protect, spend money on things that is for my family, right? And all I ask for one thing is to be totally and without any doubt in charge of the household. I told my family I am a dictator in my house. I'm a benevolent dictator. I'm a merciful dictator, but I'm a dictator nonetheless. But see, I can understand what Maury is going through, because when you're dealing with exes, they're already bitter because you left them, or they left you, whatever happened, right? It didn't work out. And the minute the child that you're seeing, who is your child, or they're visiting you for the weekends, for a feast day or for a holiday, or it's your turn to see your child, the minute that your child gets disciplined, they're calling the mom. And I went through this myself with my son. I want to go home. I don't like it here, yada, yada, yada. Because especially when you're in a scenario with that, you are not the main parent that is raising that child, and you've seen that child every other weekend, 2 weeks, a year, what have you. For some reason, psychologically, you do not become the disciplinary person. You become, or supposed to be, the parent that child has fun with. And I remember when I was going through my situation with my son, that I had to correct him because he thought that every weekend is fun. Where you taking me out? Let me do what I want. There's no discipline. There's no, let me check your homework. Let me see how you're doing with your reading. Let me see how you're doing with your math. No, that's mom's job. Your job is to make me have fun for the weekend. And he didn't say that, but that's how I felt. And it became a thing that every friend of mine that was going through the same scenario was saying the same thing. I don't feel like a parent. I feel like I am supposed to be the fun guy, the dad. But discipline, it's that's the mother's job, and that's why I believe that a father loses 90% of his authority over his child if they do not live with them. That's why, brothers, you should choose wisely who do you lay with to have a child with. I want to play another video. It's unrelated. It's not dealing with Amare Stoudemire, but dealing with discipline and what is the proper stand one should take, right? And we have to be careful with these so-called experts, right? Because I believe that if you are an expert on a field but never experienced that particular field, you never went through it, that's like a military analyst never been in the military. That never in any way, shape, or form makes sense to me. So I want to play this video because this is a mother. This is a thing that went viral. A mother was telling her daughter, who I believe has social media, the daughter, that do not allow the social media to hurt your score or your grades in high school. And the daughter got too popular for herself, from my understanding, and it became a situation that even the teachers began to call the mother, because she was playing around too much with social media and not paying attention in class. And the mother was telling her for 3 weeks straight, if you keep doing this, I'm going to do something. And then she did it in social media, went viral. Now, some people may agree or disagree. Should parents do this? Me personally, I would never discipline my children in front of social media. It's not social media's business. But I want to focus on what she did. Was it right? Fair use.
There's a strict-ass parent. And this woman, she filmed herself disciplining her daughter. And the moment has made a lot of people jaws drop. Take a look for yourself.
I'm not a parent who likes to use physical discipline. Come here, you're gonna learn today, girl. No physical discipline. Mom, don't mom me, no. You had your warning, you had your chance. I told you to listen. So
she told her daughter to listen or she would cut her hair. Apparently the daughter's hair was probably, it was something she was proud of. And the mother said, I'm gonna cut your hair. Fair use.
I told you stop disobeying my rules. I told you being cute ain't if you have no education. I told you stop disobeying me. I told you to listen and do as you're supposed to. I told you to do good in school.
It's just unbelievable. The look on the...
Now, notice what the brother's saying. It's just unbelievable. Look at the woman. Listen, this is nothing compare what I went through as a kid. This is nothing compare. I got rice in the knee. Anybody that knows what I'm talking about, knows what I'm talking about. My father used to put little grain of rice in the floor, two, like a foot apart, a few inches apart. And I had to kneel. My father, he used to have me hold books up until a kid no longer, and if I put it down, he'll whip me. I felt like he was doing like a Shaolin training without me knowing. He was Shaolin training me. But sometimes kids have to understand there are consequences to their actions. Fair use.
Young girl's face says it all. She's absolutely stunned as her mom gives her the big chop without warning. But was it necessary? Does the mom need her ass whooped? Licensed therapist and Dr. Holly Lee McCain joins us here on the fact. When you see stuff like that.
Now, she's a licensed therapist, right? I will guarantee you she's not a mother. I will guarantee you she's not a mother. I want anybody, if somebody could prove to me that she is a mother, I'll give you $100. I bet you, I will bet $100 she's not a mother. Hear what she says.
Mm-hmm. Come on, Holly. I'm gonna leave your doctor behind. Come on, Holly. Talk to me.
That was way over the top.
Way over the top.
That was abusive.
Way over the top? Way over the top. Come on, folks. This is child's play. You cut your hair, it'll grow back. Get over yourself. We are raising wimps in this society. But listen to what she said. Listen to what she's saying.
That was traumatic. That was all the things that all the people who responded on Twitter said that the mom denied and tried to smooth over, with her daughter. But that was abuse.
Do you think she should face, and you always hate to bring in CPS, Child Protective Services, but should they?
No, there should be no reason for Child Protection Services for this situation. She cut her hair. That's all.
They be brought in. This may have been a one-off. This may have been a mother who's looking for social media attention. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's that, or do you think she really...
Now, in fairness, I did see the mother. Mom, you got to get off social media too, because she's learning a lot of stuff from you. See, kids learn from their behavior, from mimicking their parents. Where's the father in this picture? Fair, to be fair. But a mother disciplining a child due to the fact that that child was just simply misbehaving. And matter of fact, let's see the actual event here.
Use physical discipline. Come here, you're gonna learn today, girl. No physical discipline. Mom. Don't mom me, no. You had your warning, you had your chance. I told you to listen. I told you stop disobeying my rules. I told you being cute ain't shit if you have no education. I told you stop disobeying me. I told you to listen and do as you're supposed to. I told you to do good in school. I told you to do your daily routine, and you yet to even do any of it. And you thought you were disobeying me today, and I was not coming to cut this hair off.
And you could tell she is a spoiled little brat. I know spoiled little brats when I see one. But Mom, where's the dad? Where's the dad? Where's the dad? Let's talk about it. Where's the dad?
You're sadly mistaken because you thought being pretty was so much better than being educated or listening to your mom, right? Yes, this is what happens when you don't listen to your mom. The crazy thing is today, I had to do something that I really didn't want to do, but I had to do to teach my...
See, this is what I would disagree. Man, that's nobody's business. And where she's learning all this being cute stuff. Where she's learning all about, that her hair was so important to her that you use that as a punishment. Where she's learning that from you, Mom? Well, where she's learning that from, Mom?
My child a lesson. We try to be better than our parents, and I try really hard to be the best mother that I can be. And
you should try to be the best wife you could be, but that's a different conversation.
For the most part, I know I'm doing a fantastic. The wig on, it's so pretty. You learned your lesson, the lesson was.
And they were, and then they made up and yada yada yada. But it's one of these things that. Let me show you guys another video. And I want someone to correct me. I would like for someone to say, Gabar, you're going too far. By the way, there is a new number that we have. Let me just give it to you guys right on top. The 646 number is no longer good. I went back to my old number. I got an actual phone. You're actually going to be calling the actual phone. If you want to call in, you could call in or text me if you have a comment, or if you want to come in at 267-358-0879. That's 267-358-0879. That's the new number. You're going to be calling directly to the studio. Okay, so let me play this video because maybe I'm going too far. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the old geezer. So this is another video, Dr. Phil, right? And the father is being invited to the show because the mother or someone believes he's being too strict or abusive towards the child. Fair use.
Let's take a look at this video.
So it looks like the father picked him up. He was being disobedient. Oh my God, he picked him up. Oh my God, he's being abusive. Oh my God, whip that butt. Whip him. There you go. Stop misbehaving. I support, I approve this message. And look at him, oh my God, you're weak, mama. You're weak. Sometimes the kid needs to get a little beat up. Sometimes, you want to be disobeyed, you're a tough guy, but pull out the gloves. Hit him in the gut a little bit. I'm not for violence, but we have to toughen these kids and we have to teach these kids discipline.
He was cussing And so I just walked over there, grabbed him up, took him to the truck, and busted his butt.
See, I would never have showed up to this nonsense. I wouldn't have given Dr. Phil this power to question me and how I run my family. I would never have done it. It would never have been me. Lord, give me patience with these people. Just give me patience. It would never be me. I would be like, listen, Dr. Phil, mind your damn business.
And then dropped him in the gravel.
No, sir, I caught him.
That wasn't your plan, but
No, sir, I caught him. That's why I had his shirt. I did not drop him in the gravel. You need to look a lot closer.
what you're doing right there is absolute, unqualified child abuse.
And see, and this is the nonsense that these guys put themselves. Don't ever give another man your power over your household. I would have been like, dude, mind your business. I wouldn't have even showed up. Now he's here because, look how he's looking now. Because he allowed himself to go to the stupid ass show called Dr. Phil. He's not even a doctor.
So I'm telling you,
See, brother, never demasculate another man in front of women. If you have to correct a man, you do it in a private setting. What this brother doesn't understand is that what he's doing, Mr. Dr. Phil, he is demasculating this man in front of a show that is watched predominantly by women. Daytime show caters to women because many of the women are stay-home moms, and they stay, and they watch these shows. It's catering to women. So now when a man comes home trying to discipline his kids, and she's being filled by this guy, this Dr. Phil, all he did is just whipped him in his butt because he was out of order. And now Mr. Wannabe Dr. Phil, does Dr. Phil have any kids? I wonder. Somebody looked it up, in the comment. Somebody let me know if Dr. Phil has any kids.
they would, I'm telling you, that would be judged to be child abuse. I'm trained as a forensic psychologist. I'm telling you, that would be considered child abuse.
What is a forensic psychologist? What is that? Forensic. I want to know what's the expertise. Somebody could look that up.
And that's not your intention.
No, not at all.
I know it's not your intention, but that's not okay. That is not okay. And let me tell you how I know that's not demon possession. Because if that boy was demon possessed, he would whoop your ass. Really.
Oh, so now you're an expert on demons, Dr. Phil. You're an expert on demons. Is that a course you took in college? How will you know that? See, these are the idiocracy that we go through. This dude is like 270-something pounds. You think a little kid, whatever demon. Men, we got to start doing better, man. We got to start doing better. And listen, it's a fine line. I understand that. And I know it doesn't look pretty when you have to discipline your child. Let me see. The first time I had to hit my daughter, she was in first grade. And I think she slapped some kid, or she called the teacher a certain word, and I think started getting violent. And I always used to tell my daughter, because my daughter, every time she used to get mad, she used to just hit. And I used to hit her. Don't do that. Every time you do that, don't hit people. Because little girls, they get used to hitting. I don't like that. And because they're cute and harmless, they think it's okay for you to do it. I'm a girl. Keep your hand to yourself, mama. And we in the beginning, she was shot and she hit me again. I hit it again and it hurt her. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna try that again. And I disciplined her out of it. But I remember when I first had to spank her, and this is a discipline that brothers need to do, because it is a fine line. It is a fine line. What we saw, the little spank in the butt, that's not abuse. And Dr. Phil, you're an idiot if you think that's abuse. You're an idiot. You're just an idiot. You're just saying what the people want to hear to get your ratings, to get applause, because the majority of your audience are women. The majority of your watchers are women, and they are emotional creatures. And they are gullible. American women are gullible. If it sounds right, if the white coat comes in, and if the right person, with the right degrees, oh, that's abuse. Oh, well, you know what Dr. Phil said? Women are gullible. Us men, we know bullcrap when we see it. That was not child abuse. Matter of fact, let's play another. I want to play this one right here. This is one that went viral. This is pretty old. It's been around for a while. There's a father who gave a choice. Check this out. A father, right, who gave his son a choice because he caught his son stealing things that he's not supposed to be taking. Things that doesn't belong to him. Right? And he gave his son a choice. You have a choice. You can get a butt whooping, or I'm going to break your Xbox. Fair use.
We're live here, man. My typical Sunday. Now, I want to beat his ass, but I ain't going to beat his ass. I got his Xbox. Which one would you like? You want an ass whooping, or you want me to keep this Xbox?
Choose wisely, my son.
Look, the nigga stealing, Cam.
Okay, so according to Dr. Wannabe Phil, right? Whooping, or what he saw, the butt whooping was abuse, according to his expert analysis. Right? So if that is abuse, why would a child? Now I want you guys to pay attention to what this kid chooses. What did he chose? I want to play the video. I want you guys to pay attention.
Set him up. Me and all the kids, we set him up. We caught him. We put him down later in the newspapers. 5 minutes after we just got to talk to him about stealing. So then he goes, and he takes the newspapers out like I asked him, but he also took the candy as well. Now, what do you want? You want the ass, or you want the Xbox? Okay, he don't want to answer. Hold on just 1 second, big dog. Hold on just 1 second. Just pause right there. See what's going on. Please back up the way, please. Y'all back this way. Now, come here.
Come here. So the kid didn't want to answer his father. Do you want a butt whipping, or do you want to keep your Xbox? You can't get both. And it's funny because I remember me and my brother Joe. It was always like it was 6 kids, 5 boys and 1 girl. So it was always Tony and Sam hanging out, me and Joe hanging out, David and Elizabeth, my youngest sister, hanging out. There was always like 2, we always do hang out in 2s. So me and Joe always used to be doing bad things. I mean, we talking about, forget about it. I mean, it was stupid things like we get next to the bull. A bull could kill us, right? And we're like 10 years old, 9 years old. And we make fun, try to play with, its private parts, with a stake and run, and the bull used to kick back or do stupid stuff like that. There was one time my father used to tell me, don't ever stand behind a horse, a bull, or a donkey. And my idiot butt did that and got kicked by by a donkey in my butt. Forget about it. And what we were trying to do, it was the Tatique and Canoid. It was 2 kids we used to hang out with. And these kids, about age in DR, because we used to go to DR as for the summer. And these, we try to put a stick up a donkey's butt and make fun of it and watch it, jump try to kick up the stick out the butt. Stupid, dangerous. What else we used to do? Climb high trees. If we fall, we'll break our necks. We were bad kids. And the only thing we were afraid of is getting called by our parents. And the only thing I was afraid of is getting called by my dad, because I knew my dad would do what? Whoop me. If my dad will only be giving me timeout or a lecture, that was not what I was afraid of. What I was afraid of is of the butt whooping. But guess what, folks? I got used to the butt whooping. It became a thing that me and my brother figured it out. We were like, listen, when our dad hit us and we get caught, just yell like you're dying. Oh! And I learned it from my kid brother David. I mean, Joe, he used to do that a lot. And there was one time that I remember that I saw his face and he looked at me and I looked at him briefly, and I realized, oh, he's exaggerating. So it became a thing that we got used to the butt whooping. So, when it was my turn, I'm like, dying, oh my God, please, I'm dying, right? And my mom always used to leave the room because she can't see that. It's like, it's funny how parents, I don't know if you guys go through this, right? You could, and mother goes through this a lot. Like, mothers could see their children, cannot see their children getting butt whooped by the father. But when the child does something to them, they will to butt whoop the child, right? So sometimes it's funny that way. But look what the son chose. Let's watch the video.
Get your ass over here. My feet are hot. Goddamn thieving ass motherfucker.
Now, I do disagree with the cursing, brother, because it doesn't matter how much you tell kids not to curse or not to steal or not to be a certain kind of way. If they see you doing, they're gonna automatically recognize the hypocrisy of it. And in some odd reason, they're gonna end up more like you, more than you want to. It's like if you tell your son or your daughter, don't drink or smoke because it's bad, but you still drinking and smoking in their presence, right? It doesn't work. Your kids learn more through your examples than through your rules that you set up in the house. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any rules. You should have rules, but also you got to walk the walk. If you talk the talk, you got to walk. If you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. Fair use.
Keep on crying, all that black on. Now, what do you want? Do you want this Xbox or you want this ass whooping? Which one you want? You want to keep the Xbox? That's the good answer. I'm going to give you that.
And it's funny. So if it was so abusive, why he would choose to get a butt whooping? Because the Xbox was more valuable to that kid. But the father knew that. See, because I remember when my father began to discipline me, right? And no longer give me spankings. And he told me, if I'm going to keep hitting you guys, I'm going to hurt you. Because it's like after a while, you're getting used to it. After a while, I was like Denzel Washington in that movie Glory. Just one tear goes down. I could just take it. Right? You get immune to stuff. But when he began to punish me, like I can't play with my toys, I cannot go outside, I kid you not, is the worst thing ever. It actually got me more afraid of getting in trouble than when I used to get butt whipped. Because for a kid not to have the ability to go out and play, and you understand that we used to go on vacation to DR. So when all the kids in the Bronx were out here, hanging out, and in the summer going to summer school or the summer's pool, or hanging out with in Orchard Beach, that was in the Bronx or whatever. I was in DR in the real. Well, I'm gonna say that the Orchard Beach is not a real beach. Well, actually, it's a man-made beach, I think. But regardless, I was in DR and I was in paradise. So that was like, hanging out with all my friends that I didn't see throughout the year. Because in school, when I was here, my father, it was like school, homework, take a shower, eat dinner, brush your teeth, go to sleep, or watch. He allowed us to play. It wasn't like he was this crazy Nazi, but it was all structured, right? And so in DR, our summer vacation was literally spent in DR. And we had the church in the front. No, the house in the front. No, excuse me. Yeah, the church in the front, the house behind the church, and then behind, no, it was the church, then the house behind the church, and the farm next to and behind the house. The farm was on the side. You get the bull, the cows, right? And then we had some chickens, and then we had some sugar cane. We had some tomatoes, some plátanos. I think we had some mangoes. Yeah, we were crushing it. And it was paradise for me. It was like you get up, put on your clothes, brush your teeth, wash your face, and you out in the field. And me, Joe, Tatika and Canoa was like the four musketeers. We were always hanging out together. They were two brothers and we were two brothers. And we got in trouble. We did crazy stuff. It's amazing we're still alive today. I mean, we used to be hanging upside down and in scenarios that we could have, if the tree would have broke or what have you, I would have not been here. And it developed me, but I could understand why my father was upset because there were certain times he didn't want me to go out. We used to be in the highway. We used to have these little bikes, and he told us, don't go next to the certain areas because back in the days in DR, if you guys probably still the same, there's no street lights in DR, and there's no lights in certain area, and cars are driving. There's no, speed restrictions, right? So some kids have got killed in the past and certain dirt roads, and he didn't want us to go that way. And we have so many options, but there's something about our brain that once a place becomes unattainable to us, it becomes more attractive to us. It's just human nature. So my father had to whip me, right? But look what this kid chose. He chose the Xbox, and look what the father did anyway. Fair use.
Xbox right now.
Oh no. Bye. He's gonna give him it. Broken.
And you see all the little kids, all the little brothers and sisters uh-oh.
Hey, this is how I get down. He wanted the Xbox, because that's easy.
You hear what he said? He wanted to keep the Xbox and get the butt whipping because that's easy. No more Xbox.
That was awesome.
And you know what you notice here? You know what you notice? The mom not getting in the way. The mind not interrupting, not getting all emotional. Oh, my baby, don't be doing that to my baby. Sometimes, mother, you got to let the man just be the man. And men, yes, you have to control your anger. You have to be disciplined, like I said. When I used to spank my daughter, I think I only did it twice, maybe 3 times. Very, very little. But when I did, I had to be disciplined because I could hurt her. And I understand I'm a grown man. But I have to we just whip her butt just enough so she understand what I'm coming from and put that fear in God. But punishment, guys, work. Take away their video games for like a week. Take away they can't go to a certain party or whatever, or they can't hang out with this person because that's torture for them. I gotta tell you, man, it is difficult for young male men to be men today, and you're still, even if you feel it's a butt whooping, if some child agency protection, some city, some governor, some liberal city you're in, gets the report of some domestic scenario, once you allow them to get into your life, it's hard to get them out. That's why the brother Amare Stoudemire, he should be extremely Stoudemire. He should be extremely careful when you're dealing with your kids from your ex-wife. And that ex-wife does not understand that the minute you call the cops, you're not allowing the authorities to get into your ex-husband's life, but you're also allowing the authority to get into your children's life and your life. And it's always, aha. Now you got to answer to the police. Now you got arrested. Don't you ever touch my child again. First of all, it's our child, not yours. And the mothers that be out there talking about, don't you ever touch my child, be the first one swinging for the fences on that child if that child disrespect them. That's why you have to, brothers, if you lay with a woman, you have a child with her, you have to bet them. You have to bet them. If they grew up with a single mother that was telling that young girl, man and ish, and you could do it by yourself and blah, blah, blah. Because the mother that was cutting that young lady's hair, she was saying, get yourself an education. But was that mother training that daughter to be obedient, to be submissive, agreeable to her husband, if she decides to be married? Was she teaching that woman, that young lady, also how to maintain a household? How to be a lady? How to cross her legs? How to wear a dress? How to properly dress? America's ruined. America is done. We can't wield it back. So all we could do is create our own little wolf pack, our own little community, and understand that we are behind enemy lines. We are beyond enemy lines. He's crying. That's what kids do. They cry. And look at the little dog, the little sister making fun of him, beating her. He's like, get off of me. And that's what they do. It's not the end of the world.
I'm still on.
You still alive. You still alive.
Hey, you see that? You wanted the Xbox more than you want the ass more. I want you to quit fucking lying to me and stealing. I ain't gonna beat your ass because I ain't going to jail, but I can tear your shit up. Hey, you back?
So you heard what he said? He said, I'm not going to go to jail because he understands what world does he live in. We're not living in the same world, brothers. We're not living in the same world. That's why you have to get more tactful in how you deal with your children. Like this brother did. He said, you know what? I'll be willing to break 5, 6, 7 Xbox. Because I know that kid is going to miss those Xbox more. And maybe just lock up the Xbox. Not, I always just take it away because, he's probably going to buy one for the next holiday or whatever. But what I'm saying is that you have to be very tactful. Because I remember when my father began to switch from whipping to discipline, grounding me. I cannot play with my toys. I cannot go outside. Forget about it. That was torture. I was like looking like, Dad, please whip me if I could go outside. Like, you don't want to hit me? No. But he got smart. He was like, nah. But you're ground for 2 days. 2 days for a child. In DR, when I was in DR, you don't understand. It's hot. You hear all the kids playing outside, and you're like looking out, crying. You like doing time, it feels like a two life sentence. After a while, I'm like, listen, I gotta take more calculated risk with my dad because he I don't want to lose, because those days were valuable to me. I mean, 2 days in, you back in the days it used to be 3 months. I think 2 months in 3 weeks, almost 3 months. Those days were valuable to me, man. Those days was like next, And what I'm trying to convey here, what I'm trying to, there needs to be our society need to allow a certain level of punishment, some striking or discipline, and maybe it should be something written, like this is what you're allowed to do, this is not what you're allowed to do. And even if you cross the line and things of that nature, like this whole situation, Amare Stoudemire should never have gotten arrested. The most, if I was a police officer, I would have just told them, listen, take a walk, talk it out, maybe, recommend family counseling or what have you, and even cops now are like handicapped what they could do, because I remember over here in New York, I don't know how it's in Florida, they have a zero tolerance with domestic. Any form of domestic scenario, somebody needs to be arrested. So that's why it's important for fathers and mothers, but especially fathers, black, white, Hispanic, doesn't matter. You got to be tactful. And I always tell men, this is an unfortunate saying, but you got to have something over your family that they cannot do without. And because ultimately the yelling is going to get stale. Ultimately, the punching the walls and yelling and acting all tough, you eventually have to follow up on that. And if you in a scenario that you are, yelling or disciplining, and even the neighbor may hear you and call the police, right? And this is what works for me. And this is what I have told any woman that I've been involved with in a serious matter. If I'm not in control of this situation, I don't need to be here. You have to establish that early on. Let's just say, God forbid, my wife starts going crazy and my daughter starts disobeying me and out of control. And I cannot yell out of that situation or discipline out of the situation. I just clean my hands. I just wipe my hands with it. Because what us men need to understand is that we have to first value ourselves. And if you in a situation, let's just say you marry someone who is not worth your love and disrespect you, and that is translate or transform or translate into the children, right? That the children not disciplining you. I will recommend for that man to leave. Because what I have over my head, over my family's head, I just simply leave. I just won't be here. I can't be in charge. If I gotta always go up a uphill battle and trying to establish what I need to establish here, then this is not my family. Let me find a family that will honor and obey me. Let me find a family that can rock with me. And it's not like I'm a jerk and I'm not an individual that don't listen and consider other people's emotions or feelings. But ultimately, the bottom line has to be mine. And that has to be understood. And I'm not going to getting stretched over it. You know how you establish an order in your house, but then after that, you're in a scenario that everybody's on a, in a nasty attitude, and I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that emotions. I don't need it. I don't need it. I value my sanity too much. I value I'm a little selfish when it comes to certain things like that. This is what works for me. I'm not telling any man to be like me. But if I have to constantly be fighting with someone who's supposed to be my partner, we're not equally yoked. So why try to put a square in a triangle? It won't fit. And that's what I tell brothers. And sometimes my heart goes out to brothers like this, brothers Amare, because I'm pretty sure a lot of his discipline and him trying to be or establish some order in his house of respect comes from the Bible, because everybody knows now he's an Israelite. He's studying in Israel and so forth, so on. And I remember when I met him in 2013, that's what I got from him. He was searching, and I think he knew that he was a Hebrew because he got that from his mother or his grandmother, I forgot. And he always was interested in knowing who he is, and then he found his roots through the Bible. And it's hard when you have family that is not in that journey with you, but that you expect them to be in that journey with you. Because his daughter calling his mother or grandmother or somebody in the family the B word, it was not something she just came up with. So it's hard, she's probably heard it from somebody. It was probably acceptable in her environment, and she felt comfortable enough to say in front of her dad. And these kids, man, are hard to raise in these countries, in America, hard to raise. And especially, these kids, there are celebrities, children of celebrities. We ever, there was another video, 50 Cent's son was disrespecting his, 50 Cent, his father. Dr. Dre, the same thing. His son, I think, was some issues. Shout out, brother David, for the $5 donation. Shout out, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you. And yeah, it's like one of these things, man, that it's like it becomes extremely hard for you to be in a scenario that you could discipline your kids. You discipline your kids, or you and your wife have a different standard of discipline. That's why, brothers, you have to, when you meet a woman, and this is for sisters too, you have to ask these questions. How do you feel about discipline? How do you feel about this and things of that nature? And if your answers are not lining up, that's a sign that you guys not equally yoked. We have to discuss that. That is the time when you start saying, okay, you see it different. Why do you see it different? And if the sister makes more sense and you feel that she is making more sense, okay, I'm going to go with that. But there has to be an understanding that the man ultimately gets the blessing of the order of the house. The woman has to convince him, not the other way around. And this is what happens. Because this could have happened to me with my son. It could have happened, with my, it never got that crazy, whatever. And, and I don't know what happened and so forth, so on. I'm riding with Amare. I'm riding with him. I think he should never have been arrested. I think the most should have been just a conversation and should not have gone any further than that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm the crazy person. If anybody wants to call in, you're more than welcome. I'm trying to test this new phone. Is it still working? Let me see. Okay, we're still going down. Okay, we're still good. 267-358-0879. It's the old number. But it's extremely important for us to start getting wiser and not allowing our male machismo to get us in a position that we're not in a place that we want to be in. Like, you know, I'll whip my child. I'll do this. I'll do that. They're watching and hearing you. You have to be very careful who you speak to and who you bring in your house. Who do you allow to even see you discipline your child? You know, these days, you could be in a situation, you could be in a supermarket disciplining your child. A Karen calls the police. Hi, this is Karen. Hi, yes. There's a gentleman here abusing his child. I'm telling you, you have to be, you are behind enemy lines. And if you don't have the discipline to understand that there's certain things you cannot do, not because they are wrong, because we live in a very feminine, left-wing, non-biblical based society. And I'm not for, and I'm totally against, for abuse. There's such things with abuse. If you're beating the crap out of your kids, if you're torturing them, if you living them in dungeon for days and months and feeding them once a week, that's abuse. But if you are telling your child, listen, you just get you got a choice, butt whipping or I'll break your Xbox, that's not abuse. That's not abuse. It's hard. It sucks while you're going through it. It's something that you are not liking in the moment, but it's not abuse. And those type of trauma thus develop you, makes you stronger. But if while you're in the middle of going through all of that, right? Because everybody goes through stages, right? I remember when, with my daughter, when she was a certain age, I was her hero. She loved me, daddy, 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 daddy. And then when she started hitting her puberty and becoming developed, oh, dad, get away from me, stop hugging me, right? And I understand that. Kids get kids through their hormones, and parents need to understand that. And I remember having this conversation with my daughter when she began to be developed and with the attitude and all that. So that's not going to happen here, mama. I explained to her what she's going through, this and that, but we have to establish order, because if you allow it and thinking, oh, she's going through a phase, right? And that phase, because each kid has like different phases, the kids are more violent, and when they're like from like the age of 2 and 5. Look at those kids. They're smashing things, and they just don't have the physical strength to do anything. But kids go through these emotions and these hormones development that begins to affect their psychic, and their brain is not developed yet. So they're going through all this. You have to explain that to them, but you have to stand by the door and say, you're not doing that. You're not going out. And it's tough when you live in a world that is left-wing. It's more like they've used that as abuse. I remember when I first started hearing this in the early 2000s, that kids have privacy. Mom, this is my room. Let my daughter be like, Mom, this is my room. Everything I pay in here. I always tell my kids, this is all mine. I'm just allowing you to live in my space. That dress is mine. That is mine. That bed is mine. Everything that I bought here for you, it's mine. I'm just allowing you to use it. But it's tough, man. It's tough. And it's frustrating to be in a scenario that,
My father was a disciplinarian. He was also in the Air Force. My father was a disciplinarian.
Matter of fact, let me show you this video. This is my man Andrew Tate. dropping some knowledge. Fair use.
He was also in the Air Force. If I up, he hit me. He never beat me. He never abused me. But there was certainly a realm in which if I up, I get slapped. It only happened twice maybe, ever. But I knew it was an option.
Your father's only hit you twice.
Twice in my life, yeah. And I say this because I said this on Twitter.
And that's true. One thing I noticed that fathers that are disciplined or known to be strict don't have to hit the kids that often because you establish it early. It's when you are trying to catch up and try to change, that's when the kids become like, what are you doing disciplining me? You never used to do that before. That was mom's job, or you let me do whatever I wanted to do. So that's why it's important to start early. To start early.
When I had a Twitter account, someone was saying that hitting kids is bad. And I said, yeah, I understand. You can't abuse kids. It's a fine line. I know it's a very nuanced, detailed argument. But in the real world, there are lines that if you cross, violence appears. If I get in your face as a man and start running my mouth, sooner or later, it becomes physical. That's the real world.
And that's what I was trying to tell my daughter early on. Don't be getting in people's faces. Don't be thinking hitting and thinking all that is okay and thinking, oh, if I hit, I'm going to get hit back. She's able to feel the exactly same thing that she is launching out because she didn't get it. And that's why, and I'm going back to what I was saying earlier. There are consequences to actions. You got to train your kids early.
So as an upbringing of a child, I think there should be lines that if they're crossed, violence appears. I don't see anything wrong with that. I was never abused in any way, but
if lines are crossed, violence appear. And what I was doing with my daughter when she was very loose with the hands, I had to very early on, and because she was so small and her brain was developed, I corrected her early, and she grew out of that habit. But she understood, okay, if I hit, I'm going to get hit. So she doesn't hit. But I also told my daughter, if somebody hits you, you defend yourself. And by you establishing that, you're establishing well-grounded individuals.
And both times now in hindsight, I f***ed up massive. And I learned. And I was taught, that's a line. My father was a disciplinarian.
Right. So you got to learn lines. You got to teach lines. You got to establish lines very early on in any relationship. If you try to do it later, if you try to, I know, babe, we hanged out in the club, smoking, drinking, fornicating, we hanging out, let you dress with your half titties out in the club, but now I found me some Christ. It's hard, man. It's hard. And I'm not saying that you should not follow Christ, and I'm not saying you should automatically just leave your family. But what I'm saying is you should understand in the circumstances that you're in. Understand that you are now working behind the 8-ball. You are not working backwards, trying to establish something and rebuilding something. It's easier to build something from the ground up, from the beginning, exactly how you want it, with the purpose. From you build something for another reason, now you have to rebuild it and retrain it. It's hard. Sometimes it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. And I think that's what Amare is going through. I think that's what he's experiencing. And now he has to experience and he has to deal with the ex-wife having a different standard and different respect, or understanding that hurts the name, that hurts the legacy. And women, you need to understand that when you marry a man and you have his children, that's a legacy. There's certain things that is of nobody's business. But these women are out of control. These daughters are out of control. And brother, the best way to not have them out of control is to have full control of the household before they're even born. If you're not in control of your household, if you always have to go and fight uphill battles every single time just to get something that you want in the household, that's going to be reflected in how you raise your children. And women, if you're always fighting with your man, I know the reason why you're always fighting with your man. Because that's not the man you originally wanted. That's the man you had to settle for. I get it. But get over yourself. The world does not evolve around you. Because what you'd rather have, no man, or have a man that is not the one you wanted, but the one that you end up with. What do you want? No man? Or at least a man, not the one you wanted. Oh, by the way, the one that you wanted didn't want you. The one that you wanted was out of your league. The one that you wanted was out the bad boy. You have to, if you're arguing with your man, that is a sign. You should be honest to yourself. Like, you know what? I got to stop arguing so much with this man because he's going to leave me. And it's already happening, ladies. It's already happening. It's already happening in a much higher scale than you ever before in history. Men are going to be abandoning American women. You American women are out of control. You American women are out of hand. And men eventually are going to leave you. There's a thing now called passport bros. You know, I should reach out to him again because when I had my previous channel, I was supposed to have bring him on the show, but my channel got hacked or taken out or whatever. And I told him, hey, I have to rebuild it. So I'm gonna reach out to him again because now he's becoming a thing, and he's telling brother, leave the country and find yourself a woman from another country. And I'm not saying men are perfect. But sisters, when you start calling the cops over something that can be resolved within the family, and what you need to understand, sister, to change a man's mind is not through force. We don't learn through force. We learn through reason. And by you thinking, I'm going to call the police and he's going to get arrested, and therefore, by that, I'm forcing him to change. There's two things you do by doing that. You make it worse for your children to actually respect the father. You're not teaching your child discipline, obedience, being agreeable. And no one is talking about that this young lady was cursing out her grandmother or somebody in their family. Nobody's talking about that should be unacceptable. That's why I tell parents, don't curse in front of your kids. If you don't want your kids to curse, don't do that. A sign of cursing is a sign that an individual have a low vocabulary intelligence. That's why brothers and sisters, especially brothers, try to learn a new word a day or a week and add those words in your vocabulary. Add them into your speaking. Because sometimes, you're trying to find the words, you just, and you got the perfect curse word to express what you're feeling inside. But don't do that in front of your kids, because they learn that same habit. But folks, let me tell you, man, it is extremely hard for men to be a man in this society. It's extremely hard for man to express his masculinity, express his, it's getting hard. It's getting harder every day because now they're trying to brainwash us to think that somehow being a man and angry and sometimes yelling, it's a bad thing. And listen, men should control their emotions. Men should control their anger. Anytime I have disciplined my daughter, I have been, or when I was a child, I mean, when she was a child, excuse me, I knew I had to not hit her with all my force. So I had to be disciplined while I'm spanking her. Because you could hurt her. But it's been a situation, you know, I have seen daughters fist fighting their parents with closed hands. There was a time I remember there was a young, I remember when me and my wife used to live in the exterior street, and we looked out the window, we heard some ruckus. There was a daughter and a mother fighting full flesh. The daughter was close grip with the mom. And in the middle, and the reason why they were fighting because the mother did not want to let the daughter to go out with her friends. She literally, her friends was watching, her and her mother was fighting, and they were fighting on top of her car or something. And the cops came in there to break it up. That's why I tell mothers, be careful before you get into this divorce thing very early on. Let's just say, and I'm removing the Bible for a minute. Let's just say you fall out of love out of your spouse. You can't stand each other. At least wait until the children are out the house, successfully out the house. Right? Before you guys get, a divorce. I'm not for divorce, but if you're going to do it, because you're going to do it anyway, you should decide to say, you know what, let's wait until our daughter, our son, our children are outside the house, and then we could talk about getting divorced, if that's your thing. If you're a believer in Christ, believe in the Torah and the teaching of the Most High God, there's no divorce. Even if you fall out of love, it is what it is. Get over it. But so you're not there spiritually, and you want to get a divorce because you're not happy, and you got a 5-year-old daughter. Trust me, don't do it, ladies. You're gonna regret it. You're gonna be fighting your daughter, close fits, in the middle of the street because she's wilding out. And sisters, if you are disrespecting your husband in front of your daughter, she's going to do the exactly same thing to you. She's going to have problems finding boyfriends and staying with boyfriends, and every other week she's going to be with a new boyfriend because she's the problem, and no one is telling her she's the problem. Not all. But enough to notice. So, let's pray for Brother Amare Stoudemire's family to make sure that they are not get mugged to dragged to the mud over this, because the media picks things up, it becomes a thing. But brother, you got to be smarter, and especially when you're dealing with an ex-wife, you lose 90% of your authority when you do that. And the best thing you could take away from her, the best thing you could do to discipline her is take away her goodies. I'm pretty sure you're paying for her car. I'm pretty sure you're paying for all her clothes. I'm pretty sure you're paying for that cell phone. I'm pretty sure you're paying for, the insurance and all that. Like, oh, you want to be that? You just take that away from them. Trust me, that's going to be a more torturous, abuse in their mind did a spank, because this little incident of the little, he probably slapped her and she probably, bleeding a little bit because she's probably started, who knows what she was doing, right? Giving you attitude. You have to whip that butt. But now she's going to use this like, oh, I've been abused by my dad. And young lady, stay off. My advice to you, respect your dad, respect your dad's name and family, and do not air out your laundry in social media. That's of nobody's business. And sister, that show the police of what was done to your daughter in the camera, her crying or emotional after she got the butt whooping. It's not helping your family. Because the lifestyle that you live, that he's able to provide for you, it's gonna cease if he's in jail. That's why I tell brothers, man, be careful who you marry, man. Be careful who you marry. A big butt and a smile could end you, and you could end up in some place you don't want to be in. But that's just me. Maybe I'm the idiot. Man, I'm the guy that don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But folks, we have to be extremely tactful in how we operate. Extremely tactful in how we operate, because we are behind enemy lines, especially for man. We do not have the freedom to express ourselves the way we used to. So we have to be tactful. So until next time, I hope you guys enjoy the show. I hope you guys continue to enjoy the show. Probably I'll be back next Thursday, most likely willing. Until next time, shalom, peace, and blessings.